Stuart Nyanzi said this gas project will also help to reduce fuel consumption, and explains furthermore how the digester is used to provide gas.
Gas reduce on the fuel consumption. We use the locally available resources, the cow dung, we use the fruit residues that we get from the food processing, and then we put them in a digester, then it produces gas, and it helps us to reduce on the fuel that we use. These digesters help us reduce on the cost of the firewood, the cost of the electricity that we use while processing our juice and our dried fruits. So it is really helping the college to reduce on the costs. And
Salongo Kasibante compiled this report.
Okay, now moving on. With the last 3 decades of NRM's reign, Uganda has made significant progress in infrastructural development, trade and investment, energy, among others. Now, as the country celebrates the 34 years of NRM rule, we take a look at some of the key projects and policies that are playing and will continue having a major impact in Uganda's ambition to become a middle-income economy in the near future.
Uganda has in the recent years managed to record a significant annual growth of about 5%. The growth of the economy has been spurred with government's focus on priority areas such as trade and investment, infrastructure development, peace and security, education, ICT, among others. The steady growth is attributed to the National Resistance Movement strategic plans geared at uplifting the livelihood of the citizenry and creating a conducive environment for investment.
The other parts of the world have gone from what they call the first industrial revolution, which is the use of machines instead of the use of muscle. Then the second industrial revolution is electricity, when electricity was introduced. Then the third one, the automation which started. And then the fourth one is this one, the artificial intelligence. Now, all those phases are here now.
In the recent Brookings Institution report, Uganda was ranked among the 10 fastest growing economies in Africa between 2015 and 2019, recording at least 5% gross domestic product growth per annum. Brookings Institution, an American think tank, further projects a robust economic growth in the current decade, with Uganda singled out among 5 countries in the African continent that will set pace and grow at over 7% per annum. Key sectors of the economy that will continue taking the lead in fostering Uganda's socio-economic progress include trade and investment, infrastructure development, energy sector, mineral sector with oil production expected between 2020 and 2030, ICT and innovation, and last but not least, peace and security. However, for this projected progress to be realized, strict measures have to be put in place, especially in enhancing locals' participation. Enforcement and embracing the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy is seen as critical in commanding Uganda's socio-economic growth agenda.
A number of factories have been put up, for example, Sorority Fruit Factory, the tea industries in the Kigezi region, and we are working towards establishing a tea industry in Zombo. The supermarkets have improved on the shelf content. As you can see, that the local content is now more or less above 40%. Fresh fruits are more above almost 80%. That is an achievement for our ministry because of the Bobo policy. But it's not only that. Other industries like cement now are selling local. They have opened up 5 more cement factories, whereas we had only 3. Steel and industry has gone up to production of 1.7 metric tons. Before it was only 800. That means that because of Bobo, these people are able to provide a market, so production has gone up.
Addressing trade imbalance between Uganda and trading countries, improving standards of locally produced and manufactured products, and innovation is vital in enhancing sustainable growth.
EU was going to ban exports of Ugandan agricultural products because we were not conforming to certain standards. those are standards which are very easy to attain. And it is with the technical people who were going to be banned from exporting to the EU. And you know what that means? Do you know what the impact will be? That a farmer somewhere will not be able to sell their product and will not be able to export it and will not be able to earn it. Foreign exchange.
We have also improved on the policies, and so the NRM government has created a conducive environment for this, and Ministry of Trade is one of the most effective ministries during this period, because now we have surplus trade volumes. For example, with Kenya in poultry, in dairy products and other products. With DRC, we trade in about more than 400 million US dollars. In South Sudan, we have issues with Rwanda, but we shall overcome them.
The energy sector, of course, is playing a critical role in Uganda's growth and development. With an efficient power supply, Uganda's middle-income status goal, which is pegged on industrialization, can be achieved in the near future.
The investment is high, and the ordinary Uganda is yet to benefit because more energy is being generated. And as you realize that through RARE, we are trying to ensure that there is more penetration of access to energy for the ordinary person, and I think you've seen that. So we hope it will work out.
The coming onto stream of Uganda's flagship multi-billion-dollar 600 megawatts Karuma hydropower project in the fourth quarter of 2020 will be a major milestone for the country. The coming onto grid of Bujagali hydropower station in 2012, as well as the commissioning of Isimba Power Dam in 2019, has helped sort out some of the difficulties that the business community was facing in Uganda due to power shortages.
We now have more than what is available to be used. However, we remain in a country that has an electricity access, or should I say connectivity, of 25%, but also growing. Now, if industrialization as we see today is taking root, with more industries setting up shop, industrial parks being built, but also Ugandans becoming more and more able to afford electricity, this 25% access could in fact increase to 30%, to 40%, and that is in fact the outlook of the National Development Plan 2 and going into National Development Plan 3.
With Uganda expected to have more than 1,200 megawatts surplus electricity by the end of 2020, more efforts geared at utilizing the surplus power must be accelerated.
So for us, we're excited, and it's not yet Uhuru as far as we are concerned, because we believe that there is a lot of tremendous effort going on in rail electrification and other connections the last mile, which will also increase the level of access as well as the level of connectivity. So what we call excess today may in the next possibly 5 years be a deficit.
As more investors continue to come into the economy and more factories and industries set up across the country, Uganda is bound to change its status quo from a net importer to a net exporter to the region and beyond. Dennis Igoa for UBC News.
Good morning, Uganda. Today is a great day to make someone's day. A wonderful day to rewrite the future. Today is a beautiful day to light up their world. Or maybe even the perfect day to say, you're my world. A marvelous day to make a brand new start. The perfect day to make the world smaller. Today isn't just another day. Today is your day. Airtel Money, with you always. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless.
4 strangers, a designer, a chef, a travel agent, and a caterer will compete in the place we all know and love, the kitchen. For the grand prize of 1 million shillings, they will need every skill, every
We
tip.
don't cut Nakati with a chopping board in Uganda.
Rabbit. Every advantage.
My husband taught me this.
But if you can't take the hit,
I'm worried about the food. Put it in there.
wait at the table.
I can be what I want to be. I can be a president if I want to be a president.
Or not. But wherever you go, don't miss the all-new series premiere for Django Today, coming soon.
Okumanya omubiri gwo abaggavu bamanyi nti buli lwobeera oyokya olina musujja gwa nsiri ne joint pains ezo z'oyogerako b'ennyingo kuluma era nagwo musujja gwa nsiri.
Dokita akati obadde kansa nga tonnaba kutuuka kufuna lubuto waliseeko mu ddwaliro n'olaba omusawo n'omubuuza n'akunnyonnyola weetegeka otya okufuna olubuto.
Ngenda ku ssomero nga nkolola omusaala ng'empewo wempitamu nga nsesema omusaala.
Endya ennungi ebyobulamu byonna.
Bw'oba omanyi nti oli w'abaami bangi akawetako katwale ng'oyambalirako ki kondomu.
Ndwadde ey'ensenke etera okukwata abantu abakuzeemu mu myaka ate n'ekwata n'abaana abato.
Omwana bw'olaba nga tafaanana banne tafaanana taata tiwalwawo okutegeera mugongo bwe ali sulo nga weebuuza kyakaba bulwadde bwa mutima.
Ebyobulamu byonna n'embeera ennungi tuula ntende ku program obulamu bwo.
You know I got you, right?
Scratch your back.
But I've got to tell you something. Crude does not have audience for explanations. You know, we've got to do something.
I want all of you to know that, especially you the youths, muli mu myaka gya buvubuka gye kino emyaka gyammwe egy'obukozi.
You're here for counseling?
Yes, Reverend.
Marriage counseling?
Yes.
Do you love her?
Yes.
Go marry her.
God, this cross is too heavy for me to carry.
Well, I'm glad you're still here with us. You're still watching Business Today. My name is Rowena Kajumba, and it's time for our Business Insight. And with me in studios is Sarah Kansime, who is the company secretary, and that is for Eagle Air. Of course, we're going to find out more what Eagle Air is, you know, what they do, what makes them different, what makes them special. These are the things, you know, some obvious things. Thank you for making time, Sarah.
Thank you, Rowena.
Yes.
I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, and well, I am glad that you're here because the discussion on the aviation field has been going on for a while. Of course, most people are focusing on the Uganda Airlines. We'll get into that particular story later. But first of all, when we talk about Eagle Air, what are we talking about?
Once again, thank you, Rowena.
Yes.
I'm really grateful to be here.
Yeah.
And greetings from Eagle Air.
Yes.
When we talk about Eagle Air, I think the first thing that you need to know is that we are a local, and not just local, but an indigenous airline company that operates within Uganda. We've been in existence for the past 25 years. We celebrated 25 years last year, and we're quite proud of that because not many aviation companies, not just in Uganda, but around the world have lasted for a quarter of a century. So we are proud of the fact that we're Ugandan, proudly Ugandan. I think shareholding is 100% Ugandan. Majority of our staff are Ugandan. Everyone from the pilot to the cleaner, and we like that we shine our flag high.
High, indeed. So where you what's your major focus in terms of the routes you take and things like that?
Okay, so we are like I said, we're an aviation company, but we do a lot of services. Well, our scheduled flights, we have a scheduled flight to Arua, from Entebbe to Arua. We also fly into South Sudan. Our services are divided between schedule and charter flights. Most people are familiar with scheduled flights. You book a flight maybe from here to Nairobi. We do that for Arua, but a lot of our business is also charter flights. Let's say some people want to fly into Mwea or to Kasese or to Kisoro. They book the entire aircraft and fly there.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very interesting.
We also provide, we also have a maintenance department. We have an aircraft maintenance hangar in Entebbe where we maintain our aircraft. We are proud to be the hosts for Uganda Airlines, so they come and also do their maintenance in our facility.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's some great stuff there.
Yes.
Because I was going to ask you what would that mean then for you, but that's some great services that you're offering. You're saying, well, we're going beyond just giving you the services that you'd expect ordinarily, taking you from point A to point B, but we're doing things like maintenance and also, I think, a number of other things that you do probably that you've not hinted on. But real quick, so now the aviation industry. Let's be honest, many people have said, well, the kind of population we have are not quite, they're just beginning to adjust to the fact that, hey, you can actually fly, or rather, move from point A to point B by air, and it's safe, and it's quite okay, and you can actually, it eases out on your work.
True.
But let's go back to you as Ego Air, because you've been here 25 years when we didn't even have a national carrier itself. We thought, well, I think, there's just a few people that moved maybe across, away from the boundaries of Uganda. How has business been, especially if we're looking at this kind of, confine?
Okay. Well, I would like to speak about the aviation industry in general. Like you said, there's a growing appreciation for aviation. There are more people traveling now than they did 25 years ago when we started. We hope to see more Ugandans travel because I love how you put it. We are bringing people from point A to point B, but what we're selling to people is connectivity. Recently I was reading in the news that the road between Moroto and Soroti has been opened, and a journey that took 7 hours is now taking 3.5 hours. Now what we provide to people is a journey that will take you maybe 12 hours on the road. We want to bring you closer to it, 1 hour a flight. It may not necessarily touch every single Ugandan, but it does provide a critical service in terms of development. If you have a factory, let's say they have opened a mango factory, finally we don't want to export our mangoes, we want to have a factory and make juice here, and then let's say a part in that factory breaks down and you have to fly it from Germany and bring it to Entebbe, and you have to bring engineers, and it will take so many hours, and then the factory is not able to operate. Now what we do is that, yes, it's a little more expensive to fly it, but the amount of money that you save in the long run is what it matters. It may have taken
more hours as well.
In terms of hours, in terms of man hours, because not everyone, people's time is valuable. For some people, if our president had to take days to get to a particular country, even the business of the country would slow down. And that's what we provide: connectivity, access to areas that don't have roads. The oil and gas industry is one of the places we have served. We're very proud to have been amongst the local players, because you know that a lot of foreign people come and benefit from this money, and because we have to, this is an important industry to develop. But some areas are not. You can't reach them. We're now just building the roads to go to those places, and we have been proud to bring people to be able to quicken the processes that are required to provide services and goods to these areas.
So basically, if you give a general outlook in terms of performance in the aviation industry, how would you rate that in terms of where we're headed, where we are, and what more people should expect with time?
The aviation industry cannot be divorced from what is happening on a global scale. Every time the fuel prices change, we know that the cost of fuel goes up with regards to us. The Ethiopian Airlines crash that happened recently, it happened, and most people know that Boeing is affected because it was their aircraft, but you know that the insurance market for aviation was affected, and every aircraft that goes up is required by law to be insured, and that distorts the economies, and now our premiums go up. So we are part of a global industry, and the cost of doing business in aviation is quite high. I think everyone knows that. Okay, not everyone knows, but
well,
some people know that national carriers don't make a lot of money, and
yes.
those are the ones we know. South Africa is currently under bankruptcy. South African Airways is under bankruptcy protection in South Africa because the cost of running an airline is quite.
Kenya is struggling.
Even Kenya is struggling. It's been a long time since they experienced any profits within the industry. But the reason is because it's quite expensive to run an airline. But also the reason why the government continues to support some of these industries is because they play a critical role in bringing tourists into the country. Uganda Airlines may take a few years before it starts making money, but in between, do you know how many Ugandans are enjoying the ability to fly directly from here to countries without having to stop over somewhere?
That is
you
true.
know, to be able to fly their goods to particular areas. It provides a critical role that as we develop as a country, as more people have abilities to go and see new markets, we provide the connectivity to those markets.
So that's quite interesting. Now, real quick, we talked about Uganda Airlines. Now that Uganda Airlines is here,
yes,
many of the private or local businesses here, one way or another, you've been affected in some way.
True.
Take us through that.
Well, it's quite interesting. We are very happy to have Uganda Airlines. I told you their headquarters is actually at our aircraft maintenance hangar in Entebbe.
Yeah.
And we love seeing all the things that they're doing to benefit our country. One of the things that we need to distinguish, us as a local company, we fly smaller aircraft, 19-seaters, within and also beyond the country, fly to South Sudan. But our interaction with Uganda Airlines is basically to create a partnership. When Uganda Airlines goes and brings people from Somalia into Mogadishu to Entebbe, we will fly them to Arua. We will fly them to help them access the other markets. Not everyone is coming just to go to Kampala. There's a lot that our country has to offer, and we provide the connectivity because they can't go everywhere, but there are places that we can go that maybe their aircraft which are too big, because some of our airstrips are a bit small or are not able, a bit rough. Some of our nice aircrafts that we've spent a lot of money on will only go on tarmacked aircraft. So our aircraft can manage. They're a bit more hardy and they're
so basically creating a deeper access into the country.
Exactly.
So you're tapping into the tourism aspect as well.
We hope to tap into the tourism aspect. Like I said, the costs of running an airline are quite high, and I think if I was to compare us to Kenya, Kenya's local aviation market is much bigger than what we have in Uganda.
Yeah.
That may mean that we have fewer players. Like like I said, I'm proud that we are indigenous to Uganda, but there are not very many Ugandan players. Actually, most of the other companies are either partially foreign-owned or mostly foreign-owned. And as a result, you don't have as much robustness within the industry. The costs of operating are quite high. So even when it comes to the tourism market, we have yet to reach that sweet spot where we're able to find even an opportunity for you to fly. When you want to, go with your friends and you go to, Queen Elizabeth, why drive many hours? You should fly. But until certain things like I said, cost of fuel, maybe taxes, cost of equipment, financing is really difficult. And as an African company, it's not so easy to access cheap financing. Everyone knows, even business people, you go to the bank, how much are they telling you? Go and take a loan of 20% or 30%. And for us,
in a very limited time.
And in a very limited time. But when you're competing against international companies that have access to financing at 2% and 1% on a currency that is theirs, and then you say you want to create an equal playing field, it becomes quite difficult. So I want to say that we are eager and we are servicing the tourism market. We want to do more. We want to be able to give more services.
And of course, someone told me many of the people here in the aviation, in terms of human resource, many of them will go in another country, and because it's going to be better paying, it's going to be much more convenient, and then you find yourselves stuck back here at home, and yet you probably have the most trained,
exactly,
like pilots, for example.
I totally agree with you. I mean, I was also reading an article recently about how we have a shortage of aircraft maintenance engineers within the civil aviation. And one of the challenges is that, first of all, there are not many local players. Even our own Ugandans, when they go outside, if you go to Kenya Airways and you are Ugandan applying for a job, of course they'll take a Kenyan before a Ugandan.
That is true.
But the thing is that we need to create more opportunities for Ugandan trained personnel to be able to operate. That means that there needs to be a lot more activity happening so that we have more flights, more aircraft, so all our pilots can go there. We as Eagle Air have been training our staff, and we are happy that a lot of former Eagle Air staff are actually working in Uganda Airlines. We are continuing to train. We have apprenticeship training programs within our country, I mean our company, because we recognize the need. The only challenge is that we can't meet the need in terms of to train everyone, because it's expensive to train a pilot. I mean, it costs millions of shillings to do that. And for us, we are a business. We're not government. We hope that Uganda Airlines eventually will train them, because we can't afford to train everyone.
That is very true. But that's very good progress, I must say. Now, of course, now that there's a couple of players within the industry now, and it's been a number of you here locally, and now we have the national carrier. You think it's going to change? Maybe it's going to give more of a boost to the industry?
I think it's beneficial to the people who are trained as workers, because for a long time there weren't many options. Now we have a lot of our pilots, a lot of flight dispatchers. They have an option. They have more options to work. But the problem is, because it's quite expensive to train personnel, now you see a lot of shifting. In our recent board meeting, we're talking about industry mobility. A lot of people move now from here to there to there to there, because now there are more opportunities. It's good. It means that we will have more experience, but also it creates a bit of hardship, because now we can't compete against a government aircraft. We're not funded by government. So,
but you have an advantage somewhere, because what you're seeing is you have smaller planes that go around in the deeper ends of the country that most people might think, I cannot access that place.
Yes.
So you do have an advantage you can work with there. Okay, now real quick, you did hint on some of the challenges.
Yes.
I want us to go back there. Let's go back a bit in terms of where the gaps are within the aviation industry that maybe you feel, if were dealt with, and then after that, of course, we'll get into what could be the solutions. But first, let's look at some of the challenges and rather the gaps and why we actually see these things happening.
Okay. Like I mentioned, one of the greatest challenges we have is with regards to financing. Aviation is a capital-intensive, high capital-intensive industry. And when it comes to costs of financing our aircraft, because we own our aircraft, they cost a lot of money, and yet being able to access cheaper financing, because at the end of the day, the cost will go to the consumer. But if we want to look at the industry as in general and say that we want to make sure that more Ugandans are flying, we have to make it cheaper for us to operate, and maybe government can extend certain provisions for the private industry, because we have been operating even when we didn't have a national carrier. We are the ones who have been employing Ugandans to be able to operate, so that now the government can say, okay, now let's carry them with a carrier. So financing is a very important thing. Another important thing is training. Training personnel is really expensive, and sometimes when people get trained, they move somewhere else. And as much as we want to keep doing that, if government can come and partner and ensure that we train everyone, so that all of us benefit, so we have an opportunity for many people to be able to access this, that's a very important thing. There are other areas. There's, like I mentioned, insurance and cost of fuel. We're hoping now when we take out the fuel from the ground, some of it will be given to us to be able to operate cheaper. Because at the end of the day, as a business, your costs have to be, you have to justify your costs. You have to break even, you have to make a profit, and for you to do that, you need to reduce your cost of doing business. Infrastructure is fantastic. I told you we've built an aircraft maintenance hangar. For a long time we were, maintaining aircraft outside. We don't have a lot of aviation related infrastructure, but we know that there are renovations that are happening at the airport. There will be areas, so we want to see more of that happening as we create more entry and exit points. You know that Kavale Airport will be built for the oil and gas industry. There'll be infrastructure required there. We need more of that. We need actually ability to develop that.
Okay, so
maybe there's only one other point in terms of regulators. We thank Uganda CAA is our regulator. We hope also, one thing that I think that will help our industry is to see them as partners in our development, because they obviously police us to ensure that we have high safety, quality, security that meets world standards. But we need to partner so that we can build up our industry to meet things like how Kenya Kenya is, you know, our industry is really small, and without support, it's just going to go away.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you this because I'm quite curious as an individual.
Yes.
So there's different flying schools and things like that.
Sure.
You pretty much do the same job as well, every now and then.
Well, our training, we're not what you call an ATO, an aircraft training organization.
But
we have qualified trainers amongst our staff, especially like pilots and things like that. So what we do is that some of our, when we recruit certain people, we can also train them in-house. But we don't train, I mean, publicly for everyone to come and, you know, access the services.
So if someone left the flying school and they came to you to work, you just give them an extra.
Yes, there are people who are licensed to train. Some of them even train in Soroti at the flying school there. So in-house, and we hope to actually grow that part, because I think in seeing the need within the industry, we see ourselves not just as a company, as a business for private benefit. We see ourselves as a player in developing the Ugandan aviation industry and through that we have an opportunity to train people. Come, I mean, right now if you walk into our maintenance facility, you'll meet people who have come straight from flying school or from these institutions who are learning to be operators, flight dispatchers, engineers. They are young people who are developing their skills, and hopefully one day will contribute positively to the industry. We want to increase that. We want to be able, we've actually submitted to CAA a proposal for training mechanics to become engineers, and we're hoping they'll support us with regards to that.
So let's look at the collaboration here with like the foreign players, you know, because that's quite something that I think would be common to come by. How is that happening?
Now, collaborations with foreign players happen in different ways. One of the ways, I think I mentioned, we have serviced oil and gas industry before. Oil and gas industry has quite high standards, and when they first came, they were like, they audited us and said, we would like you to partner with a foreign player so that you can be able to meet, who has serviced the oil and gas industry before. So our first contract that we did work with a French company, and we learned a lot about how to be able to meet oil and gas industries in that respect. You know that the aviation, we don't build planes in Uganda, we don't have spare parts, we have to bring all these things in.
Here,
So we have long established relationships with foreign partners to be able to provide these services. And I think one of the key things that they bring to us is skills. You know, we talk about local content, but we also talk about transfer of skills and technology, and that's what foreign players have to offer us.
Indeed. So we did mention challenges, so let's look at what you feel, you know, being players in the aviation, where probably some of the things that could be solutions, or, you know, if you could recommend, you know, some of the things, if they were dealt with, the areas that you feel could be.
Yes, once again, I would like to say, if government can provide financing for training, for buying equipment, for supporting, just giving us, bringing the level playing field with foreign players, because we have a lot of foreign companies, aviation companies that operate in Uganda, and we're happy to have them here, but we need to support our local people so that it's not just foreign people operating within our airspace. I also mentioned that we would like to collaborate. We want CAA to be our partner in, as they, you know, laws are created outside. We want to see, I guess, greater engagement. They do a very good engagement with us. They call us to look at their laws and things, but we have to have a proactive view in which we see the industry. We want to grow local talent. We want to encourage more operators, and I think our policies and our laws have to be geared that way. Otherwise, our market is not big enough to be able to withstand all the global challenges that we are faced with.
And you know, every time it happens, it also comes back down on you.
It does, it does. And not only us, I mean, we are a company, but tomorrow, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's the customer that we are providing a service to.
Indeed.
We are in the service industry, and we actually proudly, we are ISO certified, and we won actually a few years ago the Quality Service Award, and we value our customers' input. We want to be able to offer more, but we hope that we can partner with government to provide that.
So how do you probably go through do you do some kind of research, involve your clients in knowing how to improve yourselves every now and then? Because one would wonder, 25 years is like, how do you keep going in a business that seems to be quite tricky?
That's a very good question. I would say that it's our management. We have a very good, our managing director has extensive experience in the industry, and we are quite the way we manage our companies, we try to respond quickly to the needs of our clients. We're not rigid in how we do our things. So we respond to the industry demands. If we have to change, we change our models. In terms of responding to our clients, like I said, we had the quality service. That is because we have a quality management system that we run in the company. And if you go in our sales and marketing department, we call our customers. After every flight, we call and say, how did you find the flight? What are the challenges you're facing? We can't address every need because there's certain things that are beyond our concern. We fly into some areas, there's no infrastructure, fuel and all that, and someone says, we really, really want a flight. I mean, we recently flew into Congo and we found a great need for people. They're like, we want you guys to come here, but they don't have infrastructure. We can't fly a plane to a place where there's no fuel to refuel and bring people back. And if we have to refuel in Uganda, the cost of flying becomes really high. And the common man wants access to services, but they're too expensive, and we can't deal with the government issue. We have to leave it to government. We just lobby, and we're grateful. Ministry of Works and Transport has been very helpful to us, very responsive as much as we are needed. But I think one of the greatest developments within our industry is Uganda Airlines, because it has brought the national spotlight back onto the aviation industry. And as a result, we hope to see many changes that are positive to the industry that will provide these services to our people.
Okay, well said. And of course, our time has run out. Real quick, final word in regards to what the aviation industry, and then we'll come back to you as Eagle Air.
Well, I would encourage, I meet many people who dream of becoming pilots and engineers.
I don't think it's easy, right?
It isn't because it's quite expensive. But it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing to be up in the air, to be able to experience all these things. And we want to encourage Ugandans to dream, not just because of finances and everything. We have an opportunity, a real opportunity to develop our country and do it through a beautiful thing like flying. And so we still are inspired by the magic of it, and we want to keep doing that. As Eagle Air, maybe just for your viewers, they may, I keep talking about how we fly to Arua. Our flights are $160 for one way and $270 for return. So that's how much it costs. And we're happy to have people come and fly with us and tell us how their experience is and how we can be able to make their time with us better.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Sarah Kansime there, of course, she's the secretary, that is with Eagle Air, secretary company, Eagle Air. And she's pointed out a number of things, I must say. You've done a great job there letting us understand what Eagle Air is all about, and of course the aviation industry in a broader light, and the general outlook, and in terms of performance and what we should expect now that we even have more players, the national carrier, plus you as well, and the rest of them still here. So I do wish you the best of luck. I need to say that, and hopefully this does actually change the game like you hope for. And of course, my time has run out. We cannot exhaust every discussion, but hey, we're here Monday to Friday, 9 to 10 a.m. My name is Rowena Kajumba. From me and the entire business team, have yourselves a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, Rowena.
You're welcome.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay. Dial *185#